Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I am Annalise Armstrong, a project manager here at the Venture Center, and I'm so excited to be joined today with Ayana Baraka, and she is the founder of Edamame Films, and so we're so excited to get to know more about her today. Ayana is an award-winning cinematographer and founder of Edamame Films, a production company that produces movies, commercials, and educational virtual reality content. She was our second place winner of our pitch competition earlier this summer and is currently participating in our Spark Accelerator program. So hi, Ayana. I'm so glad you could be here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
All right, so we're going to jump into this. Again, super excited you're here. So being a cinematographer sounds absolutely glamorous. What is a typical day like for you beyond the glitz?
I think it's pretty similar to what you might experience going to your job. So I actually am a mom of two. So my day starts off getting them up and ready for school and getting them fed and out the door. So my mornings always start off in a rush. And then I get back home and really it's all about taking phone calls, planning. There's a lot of prep work that goes into cinematography. So the majority of my weeks are spent in prep. And then a very small amount is actually spent shooting, like actually on set. So to give you an example, I shoot commercials a lot. So for commercials, the turnaround is really quick. The directors and the agency and the production company generally already has images that they're going for, and then I can contribute to that. And really the prep is figuring out the lighting, figuring out crew, figuring out the logistics. And that takes about a week. And then we prep the camera, which will take 1 to 3 days, depending on the shoot. And then we go into production. And for a commercial shoot could be between 1 and 3 days. So it's a really small amount of time spent on set. On days that I'm on set, that for me is just figuring out the logistics of both set and home, because at home I have to make sure my family is taken care of, food, clothing, all that. And my husband, of course, is very supportive and great. But on set days, I generally don't know what time we finish. So I might have a very early call time at like 6 a.m. Generally, a day is 10 to 12 hours, but sometimes you can go over. So it's just being flexible and just being really flexible.
So I assume you probably travel a lot. I know you've lived at different places here in the country. What is travel like for you? I mean, do you go and speak, or what does that look like? Do the kids go with you?
Yes. So I do a lot of traveling, both to do workshops and panels, but also to travel for working on actual productions. So for that, pretty much the same, just getting home all set up. And I generally travel with equipment. So it's like carrying or lugging like 30-pound equipment to the airport, getting that all checked in and ready, and then going to whichever the next location is. So I recently did a shoot in Ghana, and that was really interesting because I had to learn what tools Ghana had, pretty much what tools Ghana had, and make sure that it could supplement the equipment that I already had. There are always, my whole thing is plan, so that when we get to the actual location, if there is something that throws us off, which there always is, at least we had a plan in place and we can kind of navigate from there. So for me, a majority of the planning is just planning for any mistakes or anything that could go wrong.
I'm just curious, on a personal note, what is it like traveling with all of the equipment?
It's really heavy. If you travel with batteries, that's like the biggest thing, because you can't, I don't know if anyone else has any other equipment that they travel with usually, but on planes, you can only take a certain amount of lithium ion batteries with you, and you can't check it under the plane. So it's like, okay, how many days am I shooting? How many hours? So kind of like I kind of do it backwards. Like, how many hours do I need to shoot? When will I be able to charge, and how many batteries do I need? And then figuring out with the airlines, because every airline is different. Some airlines, you can only bring 2 batteries. And to give people some context, that's probably like an hour and a half worth of shooting, which is like nothing. And then it takes forever to charge. So you just have to like plan in advance. Like, if I have 2 batteries that I can bring onto the plane, when I get to the next destination, will they have batteries there already charged and ready to go? Some airlines, you can take like 20 batteries, but they all have to be with you. So it's like, okay, so I can't bring any hygienic things with me on the plane with me, because I have to bring like this bag of batteries.
As a mom, so I'm a mom too, and my daughter, I don't think she knows that I go to work. I just take her to daycare, and then she sees me later. Do you take your kids to work with you? Like, what do they think about you being behind the camera and getting to see all these cool things?
I hope that there's a day where productions will be forward thinking enough to allow us to have kids on set, or at least daycare where we work. But because of COVID, I've been doing a lot of shoots at home. Like, I'll shoot commercials in my house. So for instance, I did a shoot last year. I did a Halloween shoot at my house, and we used my son in the commercial. And my other son was just a newborn. So that was really cool, because he was in the commercial. He got to see mommy like setting up camera and like, speaking with different crew members on Zoom and doing all that and setting up lights and all that. So I think I don't know if he knows what I do, but he definitely gets really excited when I bring the camera out to shoot. Like, he already like knows to go up to it and like put his eye through the viewfinder, and that's pretty cool. So
When did you know? I mean, were you an itty, a toddler, or, just a young little girl? When did you know that you wanted to be a cinematographer?
So it's so funny, because for the longest time at any of the workshops or panels I've done, I've always said, oh, which is true. I made a documentary about my best friend's mom, who's paranoid schizophrenic, and showed it to the class that I was in, and they were all silent, and then they just had a ton of questions. And I loved the effect that it had on the class, because it gave them a perspective that was outside of their day-to-day, and really, I feel like they gained an understanding of a whole human being, as opposed to just they had questions about the homeless population, and then we went into conversations about the deinstitutionalization of homeless shelters and mental health facilities. But I realized that when I was younger, when I was in elementary school, I used to tell my teachers that I was going to be a writer/director. Like, I don't know where I got this idea, but that was something that I would tell all my teachers, all of my friends, I'm going to be a writer/director. The moment when I realized, okay, cinematography is the thing. I think most people look at the film industry and they see the director. But the moment for me was I always walked around with a camera. In high school, I always just had like a one of those wind-up cameras, point and shoot wind-up cameras. I always had that. So I've always been very visual. And then I made a speculative commercial and showed it to a professor. He shared it with his friends. And I received validation. Like, I already loved the visual aspect of it, but I received validation from a professional commercial cinematographer when I was very young. So I was still in my teens, who said, you naturally already understand all of the things that go into visual language, like composition and, where do you go to find the light? And and he said, if you study this, then I think that you could be really good at it. So it just it just was the drive that I needed, or the validation that I needed to really pursue it. Also, I'm not from Los Angeles. I'm not from a major area or I wasn't from a major area where film was a big thing. So I didn't know that film making could be a viable like career. So I think that was a very pivotal moment, like getting the validation, and then also meeting folks who were in the industry and making money and saying, you could be doing this too. So, and so now that's kind of what I do now, is because I train folks too. Like, I think that folks should know that this is a career that they can go into. You can make money, you can be creative, and it's just like, every other career that's being promoted. There is a way to do it, and yeah, just want to encourage.
So on this journey, your professional journey, when did you know that you wanted to open Edamame Films, become the entrepreneur?
So I realized quickly that although I'm an artist, it's really important to also have business savvy. And, as an artist, you need to be fluent in business in order to have a sustainable life in this thing that you love. So really, I created Edamame Films out of necessity. I needed a production company. I needed to organize my life in that way if I wanted to take this seriously. And, so it's just like any other business, whether it be like, starting a restaurant or starting anything else. Like you need an umbrella that and it also helps me organize my life, because I organize it that way, then I also function that way. I don't know if that makes sense, but because you have that umbrella, it's like, okay, I'm going to work now. As a freelancer, as an artist, I think that kind of structure really helps. Like, I'm getting up, because you're your only drive, right? Like there's no boss there to motivate you. Like, you need to do this now. Like you're all of that. You're your boss, you're your motivation. And so I think just having that structure definitely helps. Also, just for tax purposes, I just don't like to commingle like my personal life or my personal money and my business. I think it's really important to have that separation. It has its own bank account, it has its own credit cards, and it's really good to just be organized that way as a creative, or as anyone in business.
So where did the name Edamame come from?
So I know, I wish I had like a huge story. I literally like almost just picked the name out of a hat. I like jokingly said to my friend one day when I was like in my teens, like younger, I was like, oh, when I have a production company, I'm going to name it Edamame Films, because I love edamame. And then when I needed to make a business, like several years later, when I needed to make it into make an actual production company, I was like, I guess I'll go with Edamame Films. It's like the hardest thing, I think, is whenever you create your business, the hardest thing, and even when like you come up with like a script or film idea, the hardest thing is like figuring out what the name is going to be. It's like birthing a child. It's like, oh my gosh, I have to live with this for the rest of eternity. Like, what is it going to be called? And so because I had already said Edamame Films, that was like a running joke. I just created Edamame Films, and it stuck and it works, and now I really like it. So
what is it like? So you're from New Jersey and you've lived in LA and other places, and you ended up in Arkansas. So what is it like building a business in Arkansas?
So it's really a great place to build a business. And I didn't realize this prior. I moved to Arkansas so that I could be closer to Tulsa. Then my husband also works in business. So this was just a great place for us to build our lives. But I quickly realized that there's so much support here for businesses. Like even like in the pandemic, I was finding different programs and accelerators like Spark to really help us get a good understanding of what direction we need to go in. Because I am a creative and I'm not that business minded. Like I am, I'm like, I think of things that I need when I need them, but really here in Arkansas, there are a lot of programs that help you plan for the future. Like these are the things you need to be organized. And that's like way beyond, I mean, I haven't lived in a lot of states. I mean, all the states, but I've lived in a lot of states. And I mean, there's just so much help here. And even like the community of entrepreneurs, like just helping each other. I think the culture here is very inclusive. So
it's wonderful to hear. What kinds of challenges have you faced?
So the challenges are definitely monetary. It's very expensive to I don't want to say work because that's not true. You could work in the industry and be fine, but I guess it's very expensive to own a production company in the film industry because everything is so expensive. So just to give you an example, I just went to the dollar store this morning and they had those clothing pins, those wooden clothing pins that you hang on the line. And they had like a pack of them for $1. And I was like, this is hilarious because if we have a special name for them in the film industry, they're called C47. If you go and buy C47 for your film production from a store, a film store, they're just so much money. Just because they have the label film attached to it, it's just so expensive. So that's the biggest barrier, I think. And that's actually a good thing. Because if it's money, like, you can always figure something out. But it definitely is a barrier because it's so expensive to be in the film industry.
I know you're passionate about the education part to Edamame Films. Can you talk to us about that? What is all that all about?
Yes, so that is definitely a passion of mine because when I first entered the film industry, I mean, everyone knows now, like, you have Oscar So White and you have the Me Too movement, I mean, really huge in film and television because the culture wasn't set up in that way. And so now you're finding different programs, different organizations that are really trying to push inclusivity. I can't say that word, inclusivity. And so I just wanted to be a part of that change because that's definitely support that I needed when coming up. And now that I'm in a position where I truly understand the film industry, I truly understand, especially cinematography and camera, and especially technical part of the film industry. I just think it's really important to share all of that with others. So,
what's been your favorite project?
So my favorite project, I really love all of them for different reasons because I really enter projects at pivotal moments in my life and they've all been like life-changing for whatever reason. But I would say the one that's closest to my heart is Greenwood Avenue, a virtual reality experience, just because I was the creator of it. I was not only the cinematographer, it was also the first project that we did with Edamame Films. So basically it's about a 14-year-old girl who's experiencing first love and devastating loss in America's Black Wall Street. So it explores the history of Black Wall Street and the race massacre of 1921. And we created it as an educational tool for 14 through 24-year-olds because that's a part of history that we were not taught in schools. Like you couldn't really even find it in, like you couldn't find it in textbooks. The only reason why I knew about it is because I had the opportunity to meet one of the last known survivors of the Tulsa Race Massacre, Dr. Olivia J. Hooker, who also went on to be the first African-American woman in the US Coast Guard, and she was honored by Barack Obama in the White House. So she was just an extraordinary person, period. But the fact that she had experienced this, and since then, because I started the project 6 years ago, since then, HBO and CNN and PBS, everyone has done documentaries on it. So now it's very mainstream, but prior to that, like you couldn't really find information. So, I started this project, brought on a very diverse cast and crew. We filmed it in Tulsa on the actual Greenwood Avenue. It was the first production ever to shoot on Greenwood Avenue about Greenwood Avenue, or about North Tulsa. And it did really well. We partnered with the Chicago Bulls, the Oklahoma City Thunder, Tech Row, a company that's backed by Russell Westbrook. So it's in classrooms across the US, and it's being utilized exactly the way that we intended. And when I screened it for in Tulsa for the centennial of the massacre, 2021 just happened, adults from all over came, and they were like, this isn't just for children, this is for adults too. Like everyone needs to see this. So for us, it was just like, wow, like it has such an impact. And it's just the same as when I created the short film about my best friend's mom, who's paranoid schizophrenic. With this film, you were really able to just be in someone else's shoes and get an understanding of someone else's experience, which I think is really important for all of us to have empathy and to connect with other people.
Definitely. We're so excited that you are part of our Spark program this fall. What are some of the goals you have as being part of this program?
So one of my goals is to figure out how to create a sustainable business that can run without me being physically in the mix every single day. I think this is a problem, or I would say I don't like to use a negative, but I think this is a problem for many small business owners. Like in order for the business to run, you have to physically be there every single day and make sure that it's running properly. But so I definitely want to figure out a way where the business can run just like on automatic, like just without me actually physically having to be on set or having to actually physically be there to do the training. Like, is there a way that I can create a subscription service where people can get the training online? Or I don't know what that would look like, but that's really kind of the guidance I'm looking for in Spark.
And I've got one last question. It's a two-part because I know you need to get your day started. What's next for Edamame Films, and then what's next for Ayana?
So the next thing for Edamame Films is I'm hoping to shoot a feature film here in Arkansas. And with that, I'm hoping that I could bring folks on and train them. Also, I am still right. I just have a ton of projects that are going. So also, like, there's another virtual reality educational tool that I'm creating with a partner. There are also documentaries that are in the works. So just a whole bunch of things that are happening simultaneously. And then hopefully being in Spark, we can kind of figure out how to jumpstart this educational piece. So besides the onset training, something tangible, more tangible. So
this is so exciting. Thanks for joining us. And Ayana, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us this morning. Until next time, have a great day.